Hello, this is Rich Bresky with BandDirector.com, and we're here at the 2015 College Band Directors National Association Conference, and we're here with Dr. Emily Therinen, who's the Director of Bands at Temple University. Temple will be performing at 3 o'clock Central Time today, and we'll be webcasting that live on BandDirector.com. Before we do that, though, we wanted to talk to Dr. Therinen and ask her about the programming that she has for today's performance. Can you tell us a little bit about what you'll be playing today?
Sure. Well, the title of our concert is called Philadelphia Stories, and I've selected 5 pieces that represent Philadelphia and have some connection historically or even in today's time to Philadelphia. And that's partly because Temple University is located in the heart of Philadelphia, and a lot of people aren't fully aware of that, especially if they're not on the East Coast. And one of the great things about Philadelphia is it's a very traditional town, it's a very historic town, a very proud town of its history, especially musically speaking. So I wanted to capture something that really represented the city and represented the university in a wide range of colors and artistry and also historical connections. So that's where this Philadelphia Stories concept comes from. So the first piece on the program is Bernstein's Prelude, Fugue, and Riffs. And I chose that because we have a really fabulous jazz department in the school, and also because Leonard Bernstein spent 2 years in Philadelphia at the Curtis Institute before he went on to New York.
Great historical perspective there.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he didn't spend much time there, but a few years. And I guess it was kind of a rough couple of years. Like he and his students didn't always get along. But yeah, so it's kind of an interesting story, and they have photos up of him in the Curtis Institute when he graduated, because I believe he got his degree there. So he was there for 2 years.
Okay.
So that's the first piece. The second piece is by Joseph Schwantner, of course, who's not from Philadelphia, but it's his percussion concerto. And we're just doing the second movement of that, and he's honored the piece, or the whole piece, but the second movement especially, to the composer Stephen Albert. And Stephen Albert lived in Philadelphia and worked in Philadelphia. He went to the Philadelphia Academy, which I believe is now the U Arts, and he also studied with George Rothberg and worked a little bit at UPenn. He wasn't a faculty member there, but studied with some of the composers that were working at UPenn. So, and Joseph and Stephen were very, very good friends. So this percussion concerto features, or basically is in a memoriam to this composer. Also in Philadelphia, there's a rich tradition of percussion playing and percussion tradition, I guess. And these, we have some wonderful teachers there, like Alan Abel, who makes those Abel triangles. Now the members of the Philly Orchestra, Chris Therinen is one of them, and Philip O'Banion, who happens to be our faculty member, also does a lot with the Philadelphia Orchestra. And so it's a nice way to feature the percussion section and our faculty member, but also to give a little bit of nod to percussionists, because our city is very rich in tradition of percussion playing and pedagogy. The third piece is by Jennifer Higdon, and Jennifer Higdon is, I would say, Philadelphia's most popular living composer. She gets played quite a bit, and the Philadelphia Orchestra performs a lot of her music as well, and she lives in Philadelphia. And so we're doing her Fanfare Ritmico, which is a very rhythmic piece and also features a lot of percussion as well. So we shift the spotlight from our teacher to our students in the percussion area. And it's just a nice kind of a energetic millennium style piece that's very indicative, I think, of Jennifer's music, especially her fast music. Incredibly rhythmic, lots of interesting highs and lows, you know, sort of has interesting architecture to it, where it gets going, gets going, gets going, and then a big moment, and then it stops and gets going and going. So it's got kind of a mechanical, technical feel to it, but I think also there's a lot of expressive shape in the piece as well. Yeah, and I think it's nice to feature her music. The fourth piece is a transcription of Bach's by Leopold Stokowski. And the Marine Band recorded this, and it's now published through Hal Leonard. And there's a little bit of discrepancy on where, like if it's actually in Leopold's hand, or if maybe there was someone else that, you know, he oversaw to write the actual transcription. But it is supposed to be a pretty authentic band transcription. And I found out through my study of just looking in the history of Philadelphia that actually Leopold Stokowski ran a band of about 100 members called the Band of Gold in Philadelphia. And he did lots of transcriptions during that time. There's very little documented about it. I've checked as many libraries as possible, and there's just not much about it. But
you just went ahead and did it.
Well, yeah, and I think he was just a big advocate of getting music out to people. And anyway, so this Bach transcription it's about 3.5 minutes, and it's just a lovely organ piece transcribed for band. And I thought that would be a nice segue into our final piece, which is entitled Bells for Stokowski by Michael Doherty. And that piece, of course, is an homage to Stokowski and has a lot of Bachian elements to it as well. And we're using the organ of Schermerhorn Hall, which is great.
That's great.
I know. I wish we had a little more time to rehearse with it, but it should be loud and exciting. And hopefully we'll come in the right spots. But I know Andrew will do a great job. But I think it's another tip of the hat to Philadelphia. There's a lot of great organ music in Philadelphia, and Stokowski, of course, was such a legend in the city. So I think it's a nice tribute to him and his work in Philadelphia.
Great. You talked about the percussion piece in a way that seemed to feature your percussionist, and you thought about that probably in terms of being able to perform that piece. You talked about your ensembles and what you were looking at when you were choosing these pieces, from the ability of your ensembles or some of the players that
Sure.
That caused you to choose these pieces and that you perform them?
Yeah, well, I try to actually put programs together artistically first, of course with limitation, being aware of the limitations or the challenges within the playing parts and what our students are capable of. But I always look at it more of I don't think so much about can our students play it. I just think more about the piece itself, and will this work musically? And then once I get to that place, I think, okay, can we actually pull this off?
Well, it's a way to stretch the students too.
Sure, yeah. And I've been stretching them. This is my 4th year at Temple, and we've been pushing them ever since I got there. We do have a couple of really star players, I think, that I really wanted to feature. Our lead trumpet player in the jazz band is just great. He's a really great crossover musician where he does jazz and classical. Great. And so he's helping us out a lot and doing some stylistic stuff in the jazz realm, which I'm admittedly not a jazz artist. So he's helping us out.
But you know one when you hear one.
That's right. So I just have him play and then everyone match. Like, do it that way. And then also our clarinetist for the Bernstein. He's an undergraduate, really fine and talented young man. And I thought he'd really dig this piece because he also does jazz. I mean, he's more of a classical musician, but he does both. And so I thought the Bernstein would be a really nice feature for those guys. The rest of the members, except for our drum set player, the rest of the members are not jazzers per se. So this has stretched them.
Terrific.
Yeah. So it's kind of this, they're trying to get the feel for it and, trying to make it not sound too square, but also hip, whatever.
Right. Well, I think Temple has a reputation for jazz.
Yes, definitely.
And to hear the wind ensemble take that and then bring that forward into other contemporary pieces.
Right.
I think that's a great way to showcase what the wind ensembles are really doing there.
Well,
so congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, and we're really fortunate to have such a great jazz department. So that's another, just a tip of the hat to what we do at our school. And I think our jazz folks are just really great. So I wanted to feature them a little bit in our concert.
Terrific. Well, thanks very much for your time here today. We appreciate this.
Thank you.
This is the 2015 College Band Directors National Association Conference. These are the concerts from the Schermerhorn Symphony Center in Nashville. It's a great facility. You guys sounded great there at rehearsal.
Thank you.
The concert will be at 3 o'clock today on Saturday. And thank you very much for your time here, and we're looking forward to hearing you today.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you
you
for taking the time and interviewing me.